Once you retrieve the data of your interest, you can use various plotting commands to visualize your results. Plot and plot xy for line plots, polar and polar 2 for polar plot, image for 2D color plot, and PolarImage for 2D polar color plot. We're going to have a close look at each of these and some other useful plotting commands in the next slides. The plot command creates a line plot. All datasets in the arguments should be sampled on the same position vector. In this example, we have a linearly spaced vector array x, and y1 and y2 are sine and cosine of x respectively. To plot y1 as a function of x, you can use plot with arguments x and y1. You can add the label for axis and the title. You can create multiple lines on the same plot as long as all the y vectors have the same length and are sampled on the same x position vector. In order to distinguish the multiple lines, you can add a legend for each line using the legend command. Unlike the plot command, plot xy allows you to use datasets that are sampled on different position vectors. Here we have x1, y1, and x2, y2 vectors with different sampling positions. To create both curves on the same plot, use plot xy and enter the corresponding vector pairs. If you want to visualize your results in polar coordinates, you can use polar. Like plot, all datasets must be sampled on the same array of angle values. It takes the angle and the radius as its arguments. Here's an example of multiple plots using the same theta values. Similar to plot xy, you can add multiple polar plots sampled on different angle values using the polar2 command. In this example, theta1 is an array of 30 points from 0 to 2 pi, and theta2 is an array with 10 points from 0 to pi. To create multiple plots sampled on different angle values, enter each matching pair of angle and radius as the arguments of the polar2 command. So far, we have learned about various line plot commands. To create 2D color plots, you can use the image command. In this example, the lowercase x and y correspond to the data points in the x and y axis. The uppercase x and y are the mesh grid points in the x and y direction. Z is a 2D matrix containing the values for each mesh grid point. To create an image of z in terms of x and y, enter the x and y vectors and z as its arguments. PolarImage creates 2D polar image plots. This is typically used to plot far-field data. It takes at least 3 arguments, ux, uy, and data. Unlike the image command, the first 2 arguments should be a vector that can go from -1 to +1. When used with far-field projection commands, ux and uy are associated with the direction cosine of the far field, hence the limitations on the values they can accept. This example generates an image of a 2D Gaussian function in polar coordinates. When compared with the image command, you can see that the region where the absolute value of ux squared plus the absolute value of uy squared is larger than 1 is clipped in the polar image. The plotting commands introduced so far allow you to use an additional argument with options for enhanced visualization. For example, in the plot command, you can customize the plot type, color, and marker style, etc. For further details about the acceptable parameters and their values for each command, please refer to the corresponding scripting page in the knowledge base. You can set additional properties of a plot using the setPlot command. If you're not sure about the names of the properties, use a question mark before setPlot. Then all available plot properties associated with the current plot will be displayed in the script prompt. The following script will set the title of the plot. Here are some other plotting commands you might find useful. As we have already seen in the previous slides, legend adds a legend to a line plot. Hold on switches the plotting mode to hold multiple functions on the same figure. Hold off switches off the hold on mode. Select figure selects a figure with a specified figure number. When used without any argument, it selects the last figure created. Export figure exports the current figure to a JPEG image with the name file name. The exported image will have the specified resolution XRes and YRes in the X and Y directions, respectively. If the X and Y resolutions are not specified, the exported image will have the same size as the current figure.